Good morning, everyone. Someone once said that the greatest distance in the world is not between planet Earth and some remote galaxy, but the greatest distance in the world is between the mind and the heart. When we were just recently in Israel, I noticed something fascinating. I walked into a little supermarket, and behind the counter there were cigarettes for sale. And Israeli law is so strict about publicizing to smokers the harms and the negative effects of smoking that the law is that every box, the cover of the box, has to have a black and white warning with 12 different warnings that rotate on different boxes of cigarettes. And this warning, in very stark black and white letters, has to be comprising 65% of the face of the box. So when you see a wall filled with cigarettes, all you're reading is 12 different warnings that make up 65% of the box. And you would think, who would smoke when you see these warnings? It can cause cancer, lung disease, low blood flow, harmful for your children, for pregnancy. But yet we know people still buy cigarettes. This week's Torah portion, the Torah says, Ve'yadata hayom, you shall know today, v'hashevos elvavecha, and you should take it into your heart that God is Hashem, the Lord, in the heaven above and on earth below. There is none other but God. And this verse is actually in the conclusion of the Leinu prayer as we leave the synagogue 3 times a day. And think about what the verse is saying. V'yadata hayom, you should know this as a truth, but don't just know it. V'hashevosa elvavecha, make sure you take it into your heart. Sometimes you can understand things and know lots of things, but you don't internalize it. You don't personalize it. You don't allow it to enter into your heart and affect you. And therefore the Torah has to emphasize, know it and take it into your heart. But there's one other idea perhaps here, and that is 2 people can know the same exact thing, have the same information, but 2 different people can draw 2 different conclusions, because each one enters it into their heart and processes it from the brain to the heart, downloads it in a different fashion. And a great example is the story about a shoe factory that decided that it wanted to start selling and importing shoes to Africa. So it sent 2 salesmen to 2 different regions in Africa. After a couple of weeks, the first salesman calls the headquarters in New York and says, listen, I'm coming home. They say, what do you mean you're coming home? He says, listen, there's nothing to be done here. I can't sell any shoes here because no one wears shoes in Africa. Everyone walks around barefoot. Well, next day they get a call from the other salesman. He says, immediately start sending container loads of shoes. We have to start building factories here. We have to start importing. They say, what's going on? He says, well, you wouldn't believe it. There's so much opportunity to sell shoes here because no one has or wears any shoes. The same knowledge can be processed in different ways, and that depends on how you enter it into your heart. If your heart is in the right place, then your mind will guide it to achieve the proper goals. Have a wonderful day.